Hello, this is Mr. Stansbury. I'm going to take you through the 9I assignment. All right, so first one we're starting with is number 3. For each of the following, find the equation of the axis of symmetry. So remember, the axis of symmetry is the vertical line that goes right through the vertex. All right, so that is our axis of symmetry. Crosses through the x-axis, so it's going to be x equals, and basically, since this is 4 and this is 0, we know that this axis, since those are both on the same horizontal line, then we just need to find whatever's right in between those two, which is going to be at 2. So the axis of symmetry on this one is just going to be x equals 2. Okay. Same idea here. You got this line going right down the middle, right through the vertex, and it's at -5 and 0. So halfway between -5 and 0 is -2.5. So x equals 2.5 is the equation of the axis of symmetry. And then this one here is halfway between 1 and 3. Right? And so that is going to be, let's see, if we add 1 there, we're at 0. Subtract 1 there, we're at 2. So halfway between 0 and 2 is 1. So the axis of symmetry is x equals 1 on that one. Okay? Number 4, for each of the following quadratic functions, sketch the graph using axes, intercepts, and then find these other things. So, axes, intercepts, y equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. So if we're looking for the x-intercept, the y equals 0, right? So we plug in, say 0 equals x squared plus 4x plus 4, right? So we'd want to factor that out. 0 equals that. So factors of 4 that add up to 4 are going to be 2 and 2. So in order for it to add up to be 4, we have to go plus 2 and plus 2. So this is, so that means that x has to equal -2. So there's an x-intercept at -2. And since it's a double, since it's x plus 2, since there's basically 2 there, that means it's going to bounce off of this. So it's either going to bounce and go back up here, or it's going to bounce and go back down like this here. It just depends on what this is. Since it's positive, it opens up. So we know that we're going to end up looking like, your graph's going to somewhat look like this. But we need to actually find what that y-intercept is. And then here, that's going to be your y-intercept, because that's when the x is equal 0, right? So 0 squared plus 4 times 0, those are both zeros, and so we're just left with plus 4. So the y-intercept is at 4. Okay, so there's that one. So we got x-intercept, y-intercept. This is x-intercept, right? So we've got those using the axes intercepts. Find the equation of the axis of symmetry. So that's going to be right down the middle here. And this line here, the axis of symmetry, AOS, is x equals, especially since they say the equation, you got to have x equal. Don't just put -2, but it's got to be x equals -2 is the axis of symmetry. And then find the coordinates of the vertex. So this one's not too bad. The vertex is simply at -2 and 0, because we can see exactly where that's at. Okay? All right, so this was part 1, this is part 2, and this is part 3. Okay? All right, on this one here, axes, intercepts. So let's do x-intercept, so y equals 0. So 0 equals 3 times x minus 2 squared. Okay, so that means the x-intercept has to be at +2, right? And it's also a double. So that means it's going to bounce and go up, or bounce and go down like that. And then this case here, since it's positive, it's going to go up. Okay, now we also we also have that this value out here in front of the x is 3. So it's really going to be, to find the next one, and we go up 3 over 1, up 3 to the left one there, right? And if we're looking for the y-intercept, then the x has to be 0. So it's going to be y equals 3 times 0 minus 2 squared, right? So it's going to be y equals 3 times negative 2 squared is 4. So the y-intercept is at 12. So it's going to be about up here. Okay, so again, we're just sketching. Oh, that was terrible. Let's try that again. This is not easy on this thing. Let's see. It comes up here-ish. Okay, and then this one is going to come up here and go right through that. There. Sorry for the wandering squiggly line there, but you get the idea. So there's a sketch of our line there. Okay. Now the equation of the axis of symmetry is right here. Because again, we can see the vertex is at 2, 0. So AOS is not y, but x equals positive 2, right? And then the vertex is at 0, sorry, not 0, but 2, 0. 2, comma 0 is our vertex. Okay? And then this is our graph, part I. Okay. E. Okay, so part 1 here, sketch the graph using axes, intercepts, and find the other stuff. So if we're looking for the x-intercept, y equals 0. So we got 0 equals negative 2 times x minus 1 squared. So x-intercept is at 1. Right? And again, once again it's a double. So it's going to bounce off of that. And then our slope is going to be down. From here, we're going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1 that way. And just to double check that our y-intercept should be here at negative 2, let's just double check. So that's going to be y equals negative 2 times 0 minus 1 squared, right? So y equals negative 2. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. So the y-intercept is indeed at negative 2, which we already found. Okay, so now we can sketch that graph there. Something like that. And then the axis of symmetry, this again cuts right through this line here. X equals 1. And then the vertex is at 1, 0. Okay? Okay. That's number 4. Moving on to number 5. Sketch the parabola, find the equation of the axis of symmetry. Okay, so x-intercepts are 3 and negative 1, and then the y-intercept's at negative 4. Okay, so we want to sketch the parabola, find the equation of the axis of symmetry, which is going to have to be, let's see, that's at negative 1, that's at positive 3, so halfway in between here is at 1. So there's our axis of symmetry. Okay, so let's see, I guess that's really all we have to do, just sketch this thing here. Now, we have to we would like to try to figure out where this is going to be. We don't really know where it is. It's going to be somewhere down in here, because since we're just sketching, we don't have to figure out exactly what it is, but we want to kind of try to get a rough idea here. Okay, so there's our sketch. And then the axis of symmetry is going to be this line here, which is x equals 1. Okay. All right, this one here, x-intercepts are at 2 and negative 2. So we've got here at 2, here at negative 2. The y-intercept is at 4. So look at that. It's just going to look just like that. All right. And then, so then our axis of symmetry is just going to be x equals right here at 0. Okay. Okay. Moving along. Next one here is part C and D for number 5. So x-intercept is at negative 3, and it's just touching, so that means it's the only spot. And then the y-intercept is at 6. Okay, so that means it's going to come down through this spot here. And then again, that's going to be the same over here. because it always mirror images around the axis of symmetry, right? So there's our graph, and then the axis of symmetry is just going to be at what? -3? X equals -3. Okay, part D, x-intercept is at 1, and it's just touching it, and the y-intercept is at -4. So that one's going to go like that. And then again, mirror image around the axis of symmetry, so then that one's going to look like that. And then our axis of symmetry is then going to be x equals right here at 1, because that's right. That's the x value of the vertex, right? X value of the vertex over here is -3. That's why the axis of symmetry is -3. Okay. Moving on to number 6. Find all x-intercepts of the following graphs of the quadratic function. Cuts the x-axis at 2. So we know it cuts through the x-axis at 2. And the axis of symmetry is x equals 4. So then here's our axis of symmetry, and it cuts through here. Okay, find all x-intercepts. So if there's an x-intercept here, and that's the axis of symmetry, it's got to be, and that's 2 away to the left. This can also have another one over here, 2 away to the right. Okay, and that's all it says. Find the all x-intercepts of the following graph. So x-intercepts are at x equals 2 and 6. Okay? All right. Moving on to the next one. B cuts the x-axis at -1. So there, it's right there. Cuts at -1. And the axis of symmetry is at -3. So here's our axis of symmetry. Like that. And since it's 2 to the right of the axis of symmetry, it's also going to be 2 to the left of the axis of symmetry will be the other one. So x-intercepts are at x equals -1, -1 and -5 are going to be our 2 x-intercepts. Okay? All right. C touches the x-axis at 3 right here. So we don't know if it's going to go up like this or down like that. We really don't know, but if we're just trying to find the x-intercepts, it doesn't really even matter. We know that the only x-intercept is going to be at x equals 3 right here. That's the only spot that it's going to hit. Okay? Okay. Last one, number 4. For y equals x squared minus 2x minus 15, find the y-intercept. So A, part I, the y-intercept is when x equals 0, right? So we get y equals 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 15. So y-intercept is just -15. Okay, so on the graph here, we're going to have to just pretend, and it's going to be way down there at the bottom. Don't have quite enough room here. Part 2, x-intercepts, that's when y equals 0. So for part 2, we got 0 equals x squared minus 2x minus 15. So we're going to try to factor this one over here. Factors of 15 that have a difference of 2. It's not 1 times 15. That doesn't work. 3 times 5 does have a difference of 2. So we got x and x, 3 and 5. They have to add up to -2. So that's going to be -5 and +2. So x-intercepts are at x equals -3 plus 3 gives us 0, and at +5. Okay? So that's part 2. Part 3, find the equation of the axis of symmetry. So if we graph those two, so if we graph -3, +5, if we go halfway in between those two, we go 3 to the right from this one and 3 to the left from this one, that puts us at 0 and 2. Halfway in between that is going to be at 1 right here. So the axis of symmetry is x equals 1. Okay? So there's our axis of symmetry. Okay, and then there's our y-intercept way down there. And then the last part, the coordinates of the vertex. Okay, so if we're looking for the coordinates of the vertex, it's got to be somewhere on this x when x equals 1, right? So if we're looking for the coordinates of the vertex, we just got to plug 1 into this and see what we get for y, right? So y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 15. So y is going to equal 1 minus 2 minus 15. So the y coordinate of the axis, of the vertex is going to be negative 16. So the vertex is at 1, negative 16, which again you can't quite see down there, so you kind of got to put it way down there. Okay, and then this one, so part B says to sketch this thing. Okay, so this is a rough sketch that should be coming over here, coming up, going like that. Okay, that's all there is for 9i. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask in class. Thanks.